Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, fellow badasses. Thanks so much for joining us today. We have an amazing show for you today. We're going to be continuing the topic of the Law of Polarity. And for those that attended last week, it was almost like last week's conversation was a prelude to what we were about to see the next week. This week has been a hard week for a lot of people. I think the law of polarity right now is being seen everywhere. And what I want us to do in life today is to look at the polarity in our own life, the beliefs that we have, and the ones that we cling to that maybe may not be serving us for the better, for the good. And so what I would like to encourage people to do is to think about the thoughts that they have, the perceptions that they have going on, and ask themselves, are my thoughts helping us to connect? Are they helping us to be more together, to be more loving, to bring us just ultimately more connected and together as a society? And so today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be interviewing someone who's going to share their experiences and how polarity has shown up in their life. But what I want to do is I also want to invite you today to ask questions, to share your own experiences and how polarity has shown up in your life. So be sure to say hello and let me know that you are here. I do see Carmen on, so good morning, Carmen. She says, good morning, my favorite beautiful badass. Happy Friday, sending you I'm trying to read that word. I think it was big hug, a get hug. So I love you, Carmen. Thank you for joining us today. I also see other people on, so be sure to say hello. Let us know that you are here. Lisa's joining us. She says, happy Friday, badasses. Excited for this topic, Sarah. Yes, I'm excited about it, Lisa, as well. So we also have Myra joining us. She says, good morning, Queen Badass. I love you, Myra. You're so good for my ego. So hello from Tennessee. It's great to see you both. The twins are joining, and then we have Lisa. So as we continue to add those comments, let us know that you are here. I can see that there are other individuals here as well. Oh, here we go. Nomadic Joneses. Hi, I'm here too, because sometimes LinkedIn doesn't work well for me. So nice to see you today, Heather. Looks like Carrie's in the car. So hello from the car, Carrie. I think you guys are really going to enjoy today's topic. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to bring Joan on. So Joan Nwosu is a celebrated human design dating coach. She is a visionary host of the Love by Design podcast and creator of Aligned Love Academy. So I'm going to bring her on. I'm going to say a little bit more about her. So welcome, Joan. How are you doing this morning? Oh, I think I have you on mute. Let's try that again. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thank you. Great to be here.
Yes. Well, a little bit more about Joan, and then I want her to do an introduction as well so we can really get to know her. Joan has also navigated 8 career changes. She has moved across countries and experienced 8 engagements and endured a painful divorce. And so, with that introduction, Joan, I would like to have you maybe dive in a little bit more and what's not on this, maybe give us a little bit more flavor or taste of who Joan is.
Yeah, thank you. So, my name is Joan, originally from Nigeria, lived in the UK, moved to Canada, and moved to some other cities in between. So, I like to think of my life as a complete adventure, but one where I wasn't directing the adventure. It was more chaotic than anything planned. And I'm 46 now. All my life, I've been searching for something. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I was always searching for something. I was always going through the extreme highs, the extreme lows, and could never really find that balance in my life. So it looked chaotic to everybody else. In fact, my mother used to always call me restless. Why are you so restless? Why can't you just sit still? And I kept going and spiraling until one day I just had to say to myself, okay, enough is enough. Like, this is not going anywhere. Like, you can't have 8 careers, 8 engagements, and you're still in this position. And that led me on a different journey, a really deep. It was more of the inner work, trying to find out the question that we all have. Who am I? Why am I here? Why do I even exist? Why are all these experiences happening to me? Why does my life look so chaotic? And this journey led me to where I am today, where I'm a human design dating coach. I've had all the experiences of great and not so great relationships. And now I really help high achieving women, high performing women who've also struggled in relationships. Yes, they're rocking it in business and career, but when it comes to love, can't quite figure it out. And now I'm here to help them to return back to home of who they really are, and attract this soul aligned partner, not just any partner, this soul aligned partner, so that they can have a fulfilling life.
Man, there's so much juicy stuff just in your introduction already. And so, I mean, things that you were saying, I was already seeing also the law of polarity come into play. So, like, one question you asked is like, who am I? Like, I think we all have that particular question. Like, that is, I don't know that I've met anybody that is like, really, who am I? And when you think about the law of polarity, we have this yin and yang sometimes, or the polar opposites. Like, I believe this about myself. Oh yeah, I also sometimes believe this. Or sometimes we believe that negative side of ourselves and don't believe the positive side, or the opposite, where we're like, oh, I'm so amazing, or I'm so this, but it's like, oh, but you also have these other traits too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to expand on what you just said. So polarity is, it's not necessarily two different things, it's the same thing, right? It's just two different points of the angle. So if you look at a rubber band, like if you pull the rubber band, there's two extremes, like both sides are pulling, right? And so you can choose to be on this side, in which case we know what your life's going to be like, or you go on this side and we know what your life's going to look like and what you're going to be attracting. So I think whether we're conscious of it or not, the law of polarity is working every day in every area of our lives and really creating the life that we have.
Yeah. So someone that agrees, yes, polarity and yin and yang. So thank you for that. So let's dive into some of the other things that you mentioned in your introduction. You have experienced significant transition in careers, so 8 of them, relationships, 8 of them, and then been in multiple places geography-wise. So how have you found the law of polarity manifest itself during those pivotal moments?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was always seeking something. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew that there was a force. There was something constantly pulling me in different directions. And so I went from different careers where at some point in time, I'm like, okay, I want to climb the corporate ladder. Or I want to be the C whatever. And I want to do this. I want to lead people. I want big teams. And then I will crash and burn. I'll be like, oh no, I want a small business. And then I go open up a bakery and I'm baking cakes and I'm happy for a minute. And then again, it's like, no, now I want to be out there. I'm doing this humongous large events. I want to be communicating with the world. And then another crash. So career-wise, I've seen this constant pull pulling me either in very high flying, high exposure type of roles to more quiet, subtle type of roles of work. But what was happening was I was just trying to find that alignment. I was trying to find who I really am so that I can now be centered and grounded in where I'm supposed to be. And that way, this force, again, it's your force, and then the whole world around you telling you who you should be. Right. So it's just pulling you all over the place, trying to figure out what life is. So career wise, my relationships mirrored my career. The way I kept pivoting between careers, highs, the lows, was the same in my relationships. So my relationships were always so fast and furious. It was always hot. Like every relationship I was engaged within a year, I was moving in with this person. And it was always like, oh my God, this is it. Finally, he's the one. But it was all the spark. Because when you understand that, the more the polarity, the more the chemistry, the more the intensity, the more you're like, oh my God, your heart is throbbing, your butterflies in your belly, you're thinking, I need to lock this down. But that's not what it was. That was just the mechanics working. And so it pulled me into, if you saw all the 8 different people I've been with, they're all different. Like some people like how to, exactly, because I'm constantly being pulled, because again, I was just trying to find myself and be aligned with who I truly am. So yeah, so something's always pulling me.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's really talking about how those contrasts or opposing forces are creating that tension. You're going towards the one side and you're like, this doesn't really feel right. Let's go over to this side. Let's see how this feels. And it's interesting because right now, even in talking with my daughter, she's like wanting to find a boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, why are we searching to find a boyfriend? Like what is the meaning or the purpose behind it? Because right now in your life, it's really just about figuring out who you are. And I think if we sort of change sometimes also how we talk about these things of, we have to be married, we have to have kids, we have to, like we put all of these, must have things on our life. And it's like, why don't we just like find out what we like first? And so why do we have to be in a career the moment we graduate from college? Why do we have to, be married by a particular time or have kids or even follow the same, rules? Like, sometimes maybe we're going to have a kid first or, we're going to get married. Like, is that really wrong? And so I think when we think about those types of things in life, it's really about those contrasts or opposing forces of things that people are putting upon you. But it's like, well, why can't it be the opposite? Why must it be that way? And so when what I want to dive into, what did you learn from those contrasts? Because sometimes those opposites really inspire that movement, that innovation, that deeper connection.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest lesson was you're not in alignment. That's what just kept coming through for me, because the pain it was great. It was a lot of pain because this is me investing a lot of time, a lot of money, moving countries, like doing wild, crazy things for love, doing wild, crazy things for careers that I didn't love. I loved it in the beginning because I thought, okay, this is exciting. But after a while, it's like draining me, burnout. Like I'm angry. It's like, oh my God, is it Monday again? And what kept coming up with who am I is I'm obviously not aligned because I don't feel peace. There's just something chaotic inside of me. And not to say that polarity is a punishment. It's not. It's your direction, right? It's that beacon that, hey, you veered too far off to the left or you veered too far off to the right. Both sides are you, but there's a point that is the true alignment of the true expression that you're supposed to be. So it's finding that. So for me, the constant highs and low, now I know that that's not alignment, right? It's too high or too low. It's not alignment. You need to be looking for that steady, more calming, more grounded point and know that, okay, so this is who I am and this is where I'm supposed to be and this is where it feels good in my body. So for me, it was just a lesson. It was I think mine was really extreme because I'm a stubborn person. So I'll be like, no, I'm going to make it work. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I was just going all over the place, roller coaster all the time, constantly emotionally high or emotionally low, lots of depression in between, lots of very high, intense relationships. I was just done. And I said, you know what? It's time to figure out who I really am and what I really, really want for myself. And I'll touch on something that you said earlier, where conditioning, we underestimate other people's opinions, right?
Mm.
How we were raised and what society has told us that we should want or do. I grew up in a pretty strict household where it was like, you got to graduate, you got to get a job, you got to rise up the ladder, you got to be married, you got to be there. And that was the constant pressure I felt a lot in my life, until I had to just say, is this what I really want? What do I really want at a soul level? Not what my mother wants for me. She means well, but it's not about that. It's about, what do I want for me? And really use that as a starting point to decide, okay, who is the version of Joan that I want to become? And I know that this is who I really am. And I'm living in that truth and authenticity of my own experience.
Yeah, I love that. Heather agrees. She's like, oh, bless it. We don't have to do anything. So thank you for that, Heather. She also says, happy Badass Friday. She also added in, yep, you have to get through the initial attraction phase to see whether there's more there that will make for a lasting connection. And so how does that resonate with you and what she's saying there?
Absolutely. And so I do have something called the real attraction pyramid, where the chemistry is really just the bottom layer. That's the initial attraction you find when you meet somebody. And it's great, but we all know that it doesn't really last forever. So there's got to be more. So there's the middle layer, which is the compatibility. How do we think the same way? Do we resolve conflict the same way? Do we want the same life goals? Do we have similar lifestyles? Just things that can make you have a harmonious life? Great. So that's where people get married. That's where people are able to have a longer term sustainable relationship. But then there's more. There's the conscious alignment, where this is now a soul level union, where now it's not just the chemistry. It's not just we can live together and have a harmonious life and have kids, but now is when we get to the point of purpose, our purpose is going to be in alignment. Because what I've found studying human design is when people start to hit a certain age, which is usually around the age 50, purpose becomes a priority. And if you're not with the person who either their purpose is aligned in resonance with your own purpose, at that point you start to hear people say things like, we're not going in the same direction. I don't think who I've become or who he's become is no longer aligned with who I am. And so it's important to know that chemistry will always be the first, because you have to be attracted to the person. Like, without chemistry, without that polarity, that doesn't matter. But then there's compatibility, and there is also the conscious alignment if you want to have that long-term, forever fulfilled relationship.
Yeah, I love that. I do want to say hello to Brenda Leese, who is joining us as well. She says, hello, ladies. So continue to let us know that you're here, and add any comments that you have. So I want to hit upon some of the things that you're saying, so that that connection between people. And so the concept of polarity speaks to that magnetic force that's created by the opposites. And let me get this off of here real quick. And so what I want to understand is, in dealing with the realm of conscious dating, how do you see complementary energies playing a role in forging sustainable relationships?
Yeah. So conscious dating just means you're no longer just going by whatever you're physically attracted to, or what social media says you should want, or who your parents say you should want. You're going more inwards and deciding, what do I want at a soul level? What kind of partnership am I looking for? And it starts with self-alignment. So self-alignment means just letting go of everything that's not you and really returning home to who you are. And once you're operating from that aligned state, you're able to effortlessly attract the right people for you. But in reality, because again, this polarity, this yin and yang, we're all on the spectrum. So there's the higher frequencies and the lower frequencies. So when you're in the lower frequencies of the same trait, let's call it that, that's what we call it in human design, trait, you're in the wounded state. So from the wounded state, you're only going to attract more wounds. You're going to attract partners that are going to magnify the wound that you're dealing with. So when it comes to attraction, it's important to stay in the state of self-alignment, but also wholeness. Because if you're still in the wounded state, if you're still angry, you're still bitter, you're still feeling like a victim, You're still feeling like, oh, okay, somebody used me. I'm never going to let that happen to me again. I'm not going to let anybody in. You build all the walls and you're like, okay, I'll just wait for the right person and then the walls are going to come down. No, you're going to attract someone that's going to help you build a tower. So it doesn't really work. So even though, yes, you are who you are, but if you're still in the wounded state, if you're still functioning from the lower frequency, the lower vibrations, you're going to attract the polar opposite on the other end of the spectrum, the ones that are worse for you, the ones that will come to confirm whatever is, whatever beliefs, whatever things you haven't healed from. The person is going to come to make sure that you wake up from this and you go on that healing journey and you let it go and you know that it's not serving you, it's not going to help you attract the right person, it's only holding you back from your ideal partner.
Yeah. So I have dug into human design for myself, and we previously did a human design episode. So for those that are wanting to learn a little bit more about human design, I can add that if you're interested into the comments later, just to be able to learn a little bit more about human design. For me, I'm a projector. So a part of my projector was learning that I also have to wait for the invitation. And so a part of that was sometimes I would push like, no, this is what I want. This is what I want. And sometimes you have to find a way to sort of sit back and wait for that people to recognize the things that you bring to the table versus saying, no, I do all of these types of things. So that was one of the things. So that push and pull of sometimes you have to sit back and you have to sit in with who you are and allow for that energy to sort of come to you. And I think that very much also resonates with like the lower vibration and the higher vibration. Like the more you know who you are, and especially in human design, the more you can identify the things that you do that are actually negating you becoming truly your authentic self. And those were some of the things that I really learned by understanding more about human design and my particular chart. And then there was another point I was going to make, but it completely went out of my mind right now. But for me, it was really understanding more of that polarity of the things that I was doing that maybe I shouldn't do as well. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm also a projector, so I know the projector wounds very, very well. And so for those who don't know what a projector is, so we're 20% of the world, and we have this very piercing aura. So when you're around somebody, it's just like you can see right into them, and automatically your mind starts figuring out, oh, I can see 10 different ways I can make this person's life better.
Yeah.
What happens is we tend to lead with that. But that's not how we're wired. That's not how we're designed. That's you more in the wounded state, in the lower frequency state. And so you can imagine a person on the first date with a projector who's already thinking, oh, so what do you do for work? Well, I'm an engineer. I'm a junior engineer. Projector is already seeing why are you not the senior engineer? Why don't you own your own construction company? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So it feels very evasive, very like, why are you telling me? Why is this therapy? Like, I didn't ask you. Why are you so hell-bent on telling me how I'm not good enough and how I need to improve? That's how it lands on the other person. But as a projector, you're there thinking, I'm just trying to help you. I can see how I can make your life better. So when you're not in the aligned state of being a projector in general, you're bitter. You're bitter because you're wondering, but I've got all this wisdom. Why can't anybody see me? Like, I'm so special. I've got all this wisdom to share with the world. But nobody's asked you for it, right? And it's hard. It's difficult to hold back and just say, no, I need to wait till I'm invited. And that's why this work really, really helps. Because for a long time, when people say, oh, you need to be a setting with, but how? But who? Who am I? We're all unique. Like, no two human designs are the same. And once you start to understand and embody and honor your design, you find that it's quite effortless. It's like, this is really who I am. I don't need to push. I don't need to chase. I need to wait for the invitation, and then I can share my wisdom. So that was I had to deal with that one a lot.
Yeah.
You see the potential and you're just like, I can help you get there. But that's not the way. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and I do want to emphasize, for me, one of the things that I think that was also important is that when we're going through this work is for us. Like it's about understanding more about yourself because you're really doing it in order for you to feel more in alignment with yourself. And then what ends up happening is then you start attracting people. So I think the mindset is important as well, that if you focus on you and, becoming who you are meant to be, you then will attract the things that you really are wanting. But if you do it the opposite, like you have in mind, like I'm doing this because I want this, then a lot of times that's not going to work.
No, it's not. You just attract people who reflect more of that wound. So if I want to be seen, I want to be seen for my wisdom, you will keep attracting people who don't care about your wisdom, who feel offended when you say, well, I'm not interested in that. Well, I don't have to do it. I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Right. Now you're bitter.
Yeah. Let me go to the comments real quick, see what we have here. So often we see the potential of the person in front of us rather than whether they have the desire to reach that potential. Yeah. And let me go back up. Heather also says, oh my God, those walls do not come down for the right person. The walls have to come down, for you. Oh, yes, exactly. And they won't come down for anyone. So, yes, I think that's sort of reiterating what we just said, Heather. So I think that very much complements that. All right. Well, so it's fascinating to me that, 8 engagements as well as 8 careers. And then you also have undergone a painful divorce. What I want to understand is how did those contrasting experiences of that high intensity relationship versus the calm that you talked about of alignment contribute specifically to your personal growth?
Yeah. So for my relationships, because I was dating from my mother and father wounds, I was constantly performing for love. I was trying to just say, love me, choose me, see me, want me, desire me. Like I was constantly looking for that. And so I would shapeshift. I would be a different person in every relationship. Like I'm not sure my exes would describe me the same, because I would be whoever they needed me to be, just so that they would choose me.
Mm.
And none of it worked. None of it worked. I kept seeking this love outside of myself. I kept seeking my self-worth outside of myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to sit with myself and be like, I'm whole, right? There's nothing wrong with me. I don't need another human to complete me, right? I'm whole as I am. And if I'm going to be with somebody, it's from a space of wholeness, 2 whole beings coming together, not a half being with another half being coming to form one unit. So I had to be honest with myself about how I'd been showing up in my relationships. I did not recognize myself in many of those relationships. And it was, okay, the show is now over.
Mm.
I'm going to return to who I truly am and let the right person stay or go. It's fine. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to stop all this. Like I had lots of relationship coaches, lots of dating coaches, and everybody with their own cookie cutter framework of how you should be, do this, if you said this, if you behave this way, if you were more quiet, or more subtle, if you dimmed your light a little bit, you don't have to be so ambitious. You have to just stay in your feminine energy. And there's nothing wrong with those things, right? It's all about aligning with who you're really designed to be. Some people are designed to be more feminine because there's certain traits that are more feminine. Some traits are more masculine. It's about knowing how to gain. It's polarity. You need to find the balance. You have to find what works for you and just be in alignment with that and stop trying to be don't do what I did. I was constantly a different human being. I looked different in all my relationships because I kept looking for somebody to choose me. I was chasing something outside of me, but it was all inside of me. So
yeah. You hit upon so many topics there. So let me first focus on the feminine versus the masculine. And then let's also talk about a little bit about the mother wound and some of those things that are causing that polarity. So We're going to be talking actually next month about the law of gender, by the way, which really is also in some ways very complementary to the law of polarity. And so when you look at the feminine versus masculine, you had dating coaches that were telling you, oh, you got to be in your feminine. So, but were you showing up in your masculine with relationships or in business? Where was that showing up?
So in business, I was definitely more in my masculine because, again, that's just how I'm designed to be. And in my relationships, I just thought if he works in business, he works in relationships. Well, it didn't work. But I'll tell you one thing, with studying human design, so there's something called the love gates in human design, which is like love languages, right? There's 10 of them. And I have 2. And I wasn't shocked when I saw it. I just thought, okay, but that's a bit different from what all these dating coaches keep saying. And one of them is the love of talent, right? So I think is what someone's referring to, where immediately I meet somebody, I can see the potential. And now it's like, we got to build something together. It's time to be couples goals, build our empire and do all of this stuff. And so that's more of a masculine energy. So it's knowing how to find the balance with that and not allowing it to push me way, way, way to the other side where now I'm super controlling. I'm trying to tell somebody else how to live their lives, what they want to do. No, it's about, first of all, I was into attracting the right people. So if you attract the right person, then it's this yin and yang coming together and both of you can now build something fabulous together. The other gate I had is the love of work, which means that when you're in a relationship with someone, you're willing to work. You're willing to be a provider. And I'm like, I don't want to be a provider. That was my instant reaction. Like, why do I have this gate? I don't want to be a provider, right? Because again, all the noise, all the coaches, everyone's like, the men are the providers, women don't, but I have that gate, right? Which shows that if I'm in a relationship, I have the tendency to want to provide, but there's a providing from a resentment. Okay, now I'm the one doing everything. Look at all the things I've done from you versus because I love you, I'm willing to put everything I have behind that. I'm willing to support this relationship in whatever way it needs, right? So you're giving more from overflow than giving from, lack. Okay, he's all after my money. And I saw firsthand how that played out in my previous relationships because I had this thing wired at the back of my mind saying that men are supposed to be providers. Well, of course, I was attracting men who only wanted my money. The more I attracted those men, the more the resentment, the more I'm hiding the money, the more I'm like, okay, you're not going to see a dime. Okay, well, I paid for this. What have you done? Constantly keeping, like, it was just chaos, absolute nonsense. And so what human design does is really, it gives you that freedom. It gives you that permission to be you, right? I do have the provider trait in me, but I have to provide to the right person. And the right person will appreciate what I bring and not be with me just because of what they can get out of me. And that way I'm giving from a place of love. I don't feel like, okay, like I'm paying 60%, you're paying 40%. No, none of that stuff. It's just I'm giving openly and willingly because I'm designed to give that way. So it's fascinating stuff.
Well, now I'm really interested to know what my love gates are. So I'm gonna have to go take a look at my chart and figure that out. The other thing that you mentioned is the mother and father wound, and you and I talked briefly backstage about this as well, and the things that we're have had to deal with in the mother wound, and I think I also want to maybe touch upon this and relate it to the law of polarity, and so. One of the things that we talked about in like a mother wound is that they go to one of the polarities or one of the extremes, like, oh, if you think this, like I didn't do this, then I must be a bad mother. So they go to that extreme instead of maybe saying, okay, well, there were some things that I didn't learn. And therefore, these are the ways that it showed up in my life and also how it is that I treated you and recognizing that. So, when we think about the law of polarity, a lot of times we go to the extreme of, well, if someone thinks this about me, they must think this about me. It's that worst case scenario in things. And so I'm curious, as you've dug into your mother and father wound, what are ways that those polarities have shown up in that part of your life?
Yeah. So my parents got divorced when I was 8, which was a good thing because the way they were headed, someone was going to lose their life because there was a lot of violence happening in my household growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the worst part of my growing up. I think the worst part of my growing up was just the lack of love in the house, in the home. Mm-hmm. And so many, many years later, I'm meeting fantastic men who are like in love with me and all. I didn't know what love was. So you bring that love to me and I'm like, okay, there's got to be something more to it. And I'm looking for problems and self-sabotaging and just being this very toxic a human because I didn't know what love looked like. Mm-hmm. And so as I started to go through my healing more and more, and I was starting to discover that, okay, so I have abandonment issues from my mother leaving when I was 8. I have trust issues from my dad doing crazy things to me. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can have some of these conversations with my parents just to share what is coming up for me and how I'm trying to process that. And just like what you were saying, it became a case of, well, I didn't receive that from my parents. I can't give you what I don't have. Like like I was the best parent I could be. Yeah, based on what you knew. But now if you knew better, at some point you have to take responsibility. Like you can't just stay in the victim, they did this to me, that's why I'm this way. Or you're saying all this, you're being mean. It's not about being mean. It's about, first of all, recognizing that your lives, like things are crazy, right? You can't say I love you to your kids. That's a huge problem. I just say because my parents didn't say I love you to me, then my kid's tough. I can't say it because I didn't get it. Right? You need to look at, but is that what you want? How is it affecting your kids? Is this a pattern that we want to keep perpetuating? We want it to keep generation to generation, like no generation is going to be able to say I love you between parents and kids, where people don't feel close to their parents. Like at some point you have to take responsibility and say, okay, I know I didn't get this, but I need to heal from that. And so for me, with my parents, it was just this constant brick where it's like, okay, now you're blaming me. I'm not blaming you. I'm just recognizing where some of my struggles in my relationships came from. And I'm willing to do the work to make sure that it ends. This is about me and my journey and my healing. I'm just bringing this up to you so that you know this is why I became the way that I am. This is why I was constantly seeking love externally, constantly waiting for people to leave me, to choose me. But all they ended up doing was leave me the same way my parents left me. And then it's the same wound all over again. Nobody's ever going to choose me. Everyone's going to leave me. But it started with my parents. That's where it started from. So I think the mother wounds and the father wounds are probably the most difficult ones to heal from. But I know that we go through some of these experiences so that we can learn from it. Because these are lessons that we're supposed to learn and heal from so that we can become better people.
Yeah.
But it's easier to stay in the victim mode and just say, well, they did this, they did that, but that's not the way.
Yeah. I think that this particular topic is so important because the things that we learned early on in life, whether parents want to hear this, and I'm a parent, like I look at those types of things and I think, oh, what are the things that I'm saying that are then going to manifest themselves later on for my child? So I think about these types of things. And sometimes I'll course correct. I'm like, oh, like that probably wasn't a good thing for me to say. So like that acknowledgement, starts that healing process sooner in things. But I'm looking at the things that you told us beforehand in how it is you were handling relationships. Now you give us this further context of your childhood and helping us understand the patterns. And early on, we talked about patterns that show up in our life. So the law of patterns. And what I think is important to also recognize in addition to the law of polarity is also those patterns. Like those things that happened early on, you learned that you were trying to perform for love. So were there certain things that you sometimes felt love because you did certain things? And so then that ended up, being like the only way that you were able to get love?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I did a lot of crazy things for love. Like I would quit my job. I will move
Yeah,
to
but I'm talking about with your parents.
with my parents.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like even just the career I went into, right? It was because I
Mhm.
was looking for their final validation, their acceptance.
Yes.
Finally, maybe I will hear those words, I love you never came. Still
Mm.
hasn't come, by the way, but it's okay. But
Yeah.
I pretended I
Mm.
tried to be the good girl. I got married because of my parents.
Mm.
Okay, well, everybody else's kid is married. You're getting old now. What will people say? I, to be honest, and I don't even think I've ever shared this before. The last time I went through the final time I was pregnant, so I don't have kids, but I tried to get pregnant so many times, 5 miscarriages, 1 IVF. The last IVF I went through was primarily because of my parents,
Mm.
because it was a case of, well, everybody else has grandkids, even though my mother has other grandkids, but it's like, oh, people are asking, where's your own child and all of this stuff. And the pressure was just mounting yet again. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go through IVF because I tried the natural way and still wasn't getting pregnant after all the miscarriages. And then now I was going to go do IVF. Maybe finally, one, the partner that I'm with will choose me. Did not. And then also, maybe finally, my mother will say the words, I love you. I am so proud of you. You are
Mm.
finally worthy of being called my child.
Yeah.
And then I miscarried with the IVF pregnancy as well. And that was kind of the beginning. That final miscarriage through IVF was kind of the breaking point. That was when I said, enough is enough. Like I'm here trying to do all these things for people to love me, for people to accept me, for people to choose me, whether it's my parents, whether it's career-wise, whether it's my relationships, whether it's even my friends. Like it was the same pattern. Like I was constantly always trying to overperform, just
Mhm.
to prove to them that I'm worthy of their acceptance and their love. And it just didn't work. And so I said, okay, like everybody step away from Joan. And I had to go on this journey to really find myself and be able to say no. So if someone says to me, which happened again, is like, so like, okay, I know the IVF fell, but are you planning? No, I'm not. Actually, I just got a hysterectomy. Oh my word. Yeah, I got a hysterectomy. Let's just be done with that. I'm good.
Mm.
I had to go through a lot to find who I am, to have the courage to finally be able to say to everyone, no, no, I'm going to do what's right for me. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to align with your idea of who I should be or how my life should pan out. That's on you. That's your projection.
Mm.
Be me and do what's right for me and what's true for me.
Yeah. So here you were, um, along the way doing these different things, basically, um, seeking that love, that validation in all of the different things you were doing. And those things stem back from really the things you weren't getting from your parents. What I would like to maybe understand is, how did you come to the realization, or what were the strategies that you took that made you shift and embrace not only finding your authentic self, but also saying, you know what? This is about self-love. This is about not about seeking the external validation. What was that process look? What did that process look like to finally get to, that's really what's important in life is what I think of me.
Yeah. So the journey started off as just a general personal development journey, I'll call it that. And then it led me into a spiritual journey. And I kept digging, I kept healing, I kept trying to find, okay, am I broken? What do I need to fix? There's got to be something broken inside of me. Why am I so different? Why is so much adversity? Right? My first book is totally on adversity and all the things I went through. And the more I kept digging, the more I kept learning that, okay, you're not really broken. You're just
Mm.
in alignment. You're just not following the path for you. You just don't know who you are. You're just not operating the right way. And that journey of studying and learning and unlearning and healing led me to human design. And the moment I found human design, it was like, wowzer, this is me. Like your human design, it's not one of those personality tests where you're reading it and you're like, sounds like me. I don't know. Maybe sometime. No, your human design is you.
Yeah.
It's a remembering of who you are, why you are here, how you operate, how you make decisions, how you show up, the type of people you need to be around you to light you up. And I was just like, finally, now this is the blueprint. This is the map of how I'm here to be. And it really resonated with me. It was the coming home of the truth of who I am. And I just dove in. So I've been a dating coach for a long time, but I was a generic dating coach, right? Just giving dating strategies, all of this stuff. But with human design, it's now, no. This is how you date. This is not how I tell you to date. This is who you truly are. And this is the kind of partner that is aligned for you. And this is how you get the person, right? And so for me, human design was just that final missing secret sauce that gave me the permission to be who I am, to be in full alignment of why I'm here, and just own it. And now with that, I keep reading my design. I keep discovering more and more. And I'm like, wow, this is really who I am. This is what I'm here to do. This is how I show up. And I wake up every day and I'm at peace. I feel aligned. So some days someone's going to trigger me and I'm going to go back into my wounded shadow side. I'm like, I'm going to fight back. But hey, I'm trying harder and harder to just live my life by my design. And I find that doing that, the things I've been struggling for all my life, even my relationship with my mother, it's improved drastically. Like I'm not fighting or trying to be who I'm not. I'm just being who I'm meant to be, who I was designed to be. And life is just happening.
Yeah. So we have another person joining us. It says happy Friday. I hope I'm not too late for the occasion. Is this someone you know?
I think the name looks familiar, but
is it the name is, I think it's Chisholm. Chisholm.
Yeah.
So welcome. Yeah. And so I feel like I maybe have seen your name before, but if not, welcome here. If this is possibly your first time, and I feel like I maybe have seen your name before. So welcome to the show. You're not too late. I think maybe you just joined at a really critical time as we were sort of talking about self-love and understanding some of the things that allow us to become our true self. Heather also says, yes, life is so much better when we're being who we are truly meant to be instead of who others want us to be. Yeah. And I think about the things that we have to go through in order to figure out who we truly are. And it really is that polarity or that adversity of things that we have to go through in order to really gain those deeper insights. And so as you started to go through, I guess, can you tell us a little bit more about the deeper insights that you did learn about yourself? Like what were things that you thought about yourself that now you think, oh no, that's not the real me? What are those types of things?
I thought I was people still think I'm the life of the party. I'm not.
Okay.
But I was doing that just for attention. Because love me, see me. So the projector in me wanted to be seen, and then this wounded child who had no love growing up was looking for the attention for people to love me. And just discovering my design and really returning to my authentic self, I was like, I'm not the life of the party. When people are around me, they drain my energy. Like I actually feel depleted, and now I can sense low vibration energy is negative, and I'm just like, I don't want to be around this. But years ago, oh no, I had thousands of friends. Like I'm on the phone hours each day, keeping in touch, checking on everybody, having parties all the time, being out there, right? But that's not who I am. I'm actually more of a private person. So that was one big, the day I said, I'm not that person. Like, of course the world's like, sure you are. You're social. How are we going to have fun without you? I was like, you figure it out.
Yeah.
That's not what really lights me up, right? I'd rather have one-on-one conversations where we're sharing information, you're listening, I'm listening. For me, that is worth 1,000 parties with 1,000 people. So yeah, so that's one of the biggest things that has changed about me. I'm not. So to anyone who used to know me, and I keep saying to people who I was and who I am, not totally different. I am not the life of the body.
And one of the other things when we originally talked as well is that you also mentioned that in your business life, you were, like this boss lady, getting stuff done, if I remember correctly, in things. Were there things that you sort of relearned about yourself even in business?
Yes. So the same. So I was climbing up the corporate ladder and leading large teams and just being the person that everybody listened to. I wanted to just manage people and be in control. That's not me. I don't want it. So as I was changing in every area of my life, my career choices were changing as well. So I learned so much about who I am. I'm not this person who wants this attention, this person who wants to be the champion, the savior of everybody, the Miss Know-It-All. I'm sure that's what people thought about me. But I thought I was just helping them. Like if I gave you a task to do and you were struggling, I'll just do it. Right? And I thought I was helping, but it was coming from a wounded state where it was, I know it all. I can do everything. I'm super lady. I'm boss lady. I know that's just not who I am, right? I want to be able to empower people to be their highest self, to be the highest version of themselves, so that they can have the confidence that I naturally have confidence, but I want people to be confident enough to own their own truth, to be able to stand up and speak up. It doesn't have to be me speaking on behalf of everybody else. And so that shifted a lot in me as well. And like every time I'd go somewhere and they're like, oh, we need somebody to say something, people always pick me. And before I'd be like, yeah. But now I'm just like, no, let somebody else do it. Like, I'm good. I'm chill. But lots of wounds. So I'm here. I'm still learning. I'm still like the demons still show up. So like you were saying, this is not an easy journey. It's not, oh, okay, I'm just going to go live by my design. Life's going to be, no. It's downwards first. Like it's pain and suffering. Like it's deep. Yeah. Painful work to really shed all of those things that are not you, things that you've identified yourself as, right? So it's like, who am I? What is this identity? If I'm not this person, I'm not this person, I'm not this person. Who am I? And that's difficult. It's tough.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes it's also that pendulum that happens. So I always talk about how you have those balls where you pull the ball and it hits the other ones and then the other side pops up and then it comes back down and it goes over. So I think about that in the law of polarity as well, is that sometimes we're over here on that pendulum. And so when it hits that next ball, it's like, oh, now I need to be this, so we go to this side and it's like, no, we need to try to find a way that we can have it swinging, like in the middle of the balance. And sometimes it is going to that side and sometimes it is going to this side. Like those things are needed at different times in our lives or different moments of our lives, but it's finding that overall harmony of, instead of balance, maybe harmony of really feeling at peace of like, this is who I truly am. You mentioned that earlier, that finding the peace, being at peace of who you really are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love the pendulum because again, the farther out you pull it, the swing, which was my life, it was just like extreme highs, extreme, right? And that's not where you want to be because it's just chaos. It's just all over the place. It's finding that balance in the middle where it's more like just the so it's just very harmonious and just gliding along. You don't need much effort to get it going. It's just going. And it doesn't, that challenges won't come up. Like I said, I get triggered. Like even though my mother and I, we have a great relationship now, she triggered me like 3 weeks ago. I haven't spoken to her since. Like she's really hard. I'm just like, like I'm not talking to you right now. Right. So you're going to be triggered. Life is still going to happen to you. So it's knowing that this is a journey and it's just striving towards getting to that place of alignment, of resonance, of harmony, of peace, of bliss, because it's possible. It is possible. Life shouldn't be about highs and lows. It should be about just that harmony and resonance.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about today in society as well, like as you were talking about that, and how life sometimes also just things in the world are pushing us to those extremes. And so I started the show off with that and evaluating the things that are pushing you to the extremes in your beliefs, and how it is that we can come back, find the harmony, the peace, the commonality, the connection, all of those types of words of being able to really connect with people. And I also love that you're focused on human design. And I'm going to emphasize the word human, because the more we focus on our design as humans and how we can continue to treat people like humans, the more that we'll then find that connection with each other as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on what you were saying about when life happens or when things happen,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time we just jump in with our emotions and we get
Yes.
caught up in drama that has nothing to do with us. And again, it doesn't mean not having being compassionate or having empathy. It's about not invest. It's not happening to you. Like we just throw ourselves inside, and then emotions. And then now you're pissed up about something somebody else did, and then it's put you on the other side of the energy, right? So
Yeah.
now you're in that, and now you're attracting more of that, because it's like, okay, well, that's where you want to play. We'll just give you more of that. So
Yeah.
and that was a difficult one for me, to be able to just be the observer and just watch without throwing myself and all my emotions into whatever is happening around me, and just being that observer and saying, okay, is there something I can learn from this? Is this trying to teach me something? Is there a message for me in here? Does it even have anything to do with me? The answer is no. I just keep it moving and be like, well, I feel sorry, they're sad that you're going through this, and I hope things work out better. But usually we just dive right in. Oh my God, he did that, she did that. Oh my God, like I'm gonna send him. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. It's trying to show you something. When the polarity is happening, it's a message. It's trying to push you into the right direction. Don't ignore it.
Yeah. We just hit upon two other laws there. So we covered the law of relativity last month, which was really that things in life are not happening to you, they're happening for you. And then one of the other things is the law of manifestation, or law of attraction. We haven't gotten to that one yet. But, sneak peek, when you think about things in life and how you are showing up, or the energy you're giving off, those things are going to come back. That attraction is going to be there, whether positive or negative, or whatever it is that you're putting out there, you're also going to get back as well. Which is also still the law of polarity in a lot of ways too, in attracting that energy of that polarity. So if you're putting polarity out there, you're also going to get that polarity back. I want to recognize a couple of other people. So Bryce has joined us. He said, happy Friday. So glad I could tune in today. This has been great to hear your story, Joan. And then Carrie also says, let me pull this up so I can read it better. 8 seems to repeat a lot in Joan's life. I thought this from a numerology was interesting. Life path number 8. The meaning of the number 8 symbolizes power, ambition, financial success, and overcoming challenges, representing a balance between the material and spiritual world. People associated with the number 8 are often strong, determined leaders who are skilled in business and management, but they must work to balance their drive for success with, and I don't know if it continues because it cut off, but do you know what your life path is? I'm curious.
No, I don't remember now.
We can do that. I'm curious if you're an 8.
I know, right?
You just add, whatever the month is, then to the birthday, and then add up the year and add those all together.
It is 8.
Carrie, you called it. Oh. hilarious.
That is hilarious. Story of my life, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the signs are, don't you love how
Right?
the synchronicity or just the, the things that happen that you're like, holy shit.
And that's the beauty of this work, right? So even though I use human design, there's so many other tools out there, so many modalities that can help you discover who you are.
Yeah.
And just lean into it. So someone might see challenges and be like, oh, I don't want challenges, but the challenges are what have made me who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
While I was going through it, it was like, take this cup away from me. But would I change anything about my past? Probably not. Because all of those lessons, what has built me to the person that I am today and how I show up in the world and the people I serve. So thank you for sharing. Oh my God.
That's amazing. I love that that also showed up, and I recognize that as well. So I've dug into human design. I've dug into, before that, I dug into life paths. Before that, I was doing astrology. So I think, and I love like Myers-Briggs. I love Clifton Strength Finders. Like, I look at all of those things. Like, they all provide different values in understanding more about yourself. And that's really what the purpose is in life, is really figuring out who you are. The ego knows no one but you, but it's also like, how do we also deal with that ego as well in a learning way, and in finding the opportunities of how we elevate ourselves from a spiritual perspective, that vibrational perspective, and how we can continue to grow as an individual as well. That's what I have come to find. And that's why even whenever I look at like religions or just everything, like, I pull from all of them. Like, I love certain aspects of Christianity. I love certain aspects of Buddhism. I love, like, so when you start to look at all of the different things and find the common threads in things, and how it is that it can help you be the best person or the better person, or who you're really meant to be, really, because best is subjective in a lot of ways, but it's like who your authentic self is. And one of the things that I've also learned in the vibrational chart, and I don't know, this was something that I had read, and let me know whether this is something you have found, is that most people think love is like the highest. Yeah. Actually, what I've learned is authenticity is actually higher than love. Is that something you've learned?
Yeah. So the map of consciousness really shows the different levels. So it's by Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, being able to be your authentic self, be authentically you, that's the highest form, because now you're at the true way that you were supposed to be on this earth, and there's nothing greater than that. That's the only way that you can do everything else the right way, because now you're truly who you are.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, I want to start to wrap things up, and so my final question for you is, we're playing with this back and forth, the law of polarity, and the dynamic interplay between those opposites. So such as, in our life, we sometimes deal with happiness, where we're really, just excited and things are going great. And then we're going through times of sorrow and maybe depression and things like that. So what can you potentially leave with the audience that might inspire them to reconsider the role of opposites in their own life?
Yeah. I think the first time, I think it was in the book, What God Said, and he had said, people say, oh, I don't want the darkness, I don't want the darkness, but light cannot exist without darkness. Mm-hmm. Because if everything was just bright light, we wouldn't know what light is. It's just light, like, it's just what it is. We don't know what the opposite is. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I look at polarity. So sometimes you go through grief, sometimes you go through joy. But how are you going to know joy if you didn't go through grief? How are you going to know success if you haven't experienced loss, right? How are you going to understand what being in a loving relationship is if you haven't gone through the toxic, bad relationships? How are you going to discover who you are? So for me, adversity is just, it's your curriculum, is what you came to learn, is what you came to experience, so that you can know and appreciate the other side. You're like, oh, so this is what it feels like. But if you've only ever had good or joy, then when adversity hit, you're finished because you're just like, oh my God, okay. But if you've been through some of the other extremes of the polarity, the other side, you can now embrace and appreciate the other side. So
Yeah.
I say to everybody who's going through tough times, it doesn't mean that it's not rough. It is rough. It is tough. Sometimes you'll be lonely. Sometimes you have zero support, but you will come out on the other side, and there will be a lesson for you to either learn about what's not serving you, what you don't want, or who you are. And that's the goal for everybody, is to discover who you are so that you can live in alignment and attract the beautiful things that are designed for you.
I think that that's really important. And I actually got goosebumps because I was thinking about a particular friend of ours, and it was actually my co-host. My co-host, I know that she has been seeking abundance in her life. And the opposite, as I started to think about abundance, it is the opposite. So it's sometimes going through things and learning how to deal with nothing. And she has been going through some very devastating things lately. But a part of that, she has also seen abundance, but abundance in a different way. Abundance with people that have been pouring out to help her, pouring out in love, pouring out in support. So sometimes the words that we use, we may have one meaning, like we want abundance as in I want money. But in actuality, abundance can come in other forms. So we also have to think about those things. Like if I want strength in my life, I've got to learn that opposite side of what strength, I've got to go to my weakest point in order to then build up that strength. So what you said was amazing because it really emphasizes the law of polarity and understanding what we ask for. Sometimes we're going to have to learn the opposite in order to truly get that other side. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That was amazing. So I just want to give a final thank you to you so much. This was an amazing conversation. I didn't know what to expect. I saw a post, just so everybody knows, and I was like, oh, I think you would be great. And I didn't realize, and somehow this happens. Sometimes I identify people that are so perfect, but I just have an inkling that they're going to be good for the topic. But you were so perfect for this topic, so thank you so much for that today, for that gift.
It was such a pleasure being here. Thank you for the rich conversation.
I love it. And then also just our audience, you guys also provided just some really great information, just, other context to this topic. And I just want to thank you guys for showing up, for being here and adding to the conversation. So I just want to give an overall thank you to individuals that have continued to come, new people that are showing up, for our lurkers that are out there that sit there and watch but don't necessarily say things as well. We love all of you. And so I just want to sort of end today with focus on what it is we can do in life, what it is that we can do to generate love, not only for others, but also love for ourselves. That is when we'll start to see the tides changing in the world around us. So the more we focus on the things that we want, keep in mind that we may be going through that polarity, which I think we're seeing right now, that will then generate and bring that other side of that polarity. So continue to be patient and understand that the turmoil that we may be seeing today is purposeful. It's so we can then see that light. We're coming from the darkness and going to the light, as Joan also mentioned. So I want to leave everyone with that. And thank you so much for joining us. And come back next week, as I will have a guest co-host that is joining me, who we interviewed early on in the BOYBAS history. And she's also my depth psychology coach that I see every other week. So she's going to be joining us as we continue the law of polarity. So please join us next week. And again, thank you so much, Joan. Have an amazing weekend, everyone, and we will see you next Friday.
Have a great weekend.